You pick the side, I just hope you gon' stand on it.
Welcome back to the Stand On It podcast, your favorite talk show where we're breaking down games that we love, football, basketball, having real conversations with no gimmicks, no BS, and no clickbait. My name is Khalil Chapman. I'm here with my boy.
Tay B, man. We back in the building. I know it's been a while, y'all, but we're going to be more consistent, man. Appreciate all our supporters and followers for sure.
Absolutely. And just want to shout out everybody for rocking with us. It's been about a year since we've been on the pod. We're about 24, 25 episodes in. We're on season 2, and this is episode 2, so we're excited to get into it. Man, draft week has come and gone in the NFL. A lot of big names, a lot of big expectations. Obviously, the biggest one, or one of the biggest ones, the Raiders walking away with Fernando Mendoza. But we're going to talk a little bit today about winners and losers, some of our teams that we wanted to highlight. And then, we'll get into a little bit about Lamar before we close. But really just going to make this episode about the draft. Want to start off with Tay, man. Who are some of the winners for you? And I know you probably want to start with the hometown team.
Yeah, I know y'all will be like, oh, he's being biased. I'm not being biased. My first winner is the Raiders. Of course, our biggest need for sure was a quarterback. After we really had pitiful quarterback play since Carr left. We done ran through like 6 to 7 starting quarterbacks since he has departure. So getting Mendoza was a much-needed pick. I also like that we got another steal down in the draft that we'll talk about later that I like the Raiders picking up. But I just think Clint Kubiak is coming from a Super Bowl winning franchise in the Seahawks. He has a vision on how he wants to run his offense. So he has a nice tight end. Our first 3 picks of the last 3 years been offensive players, whether that's been Brock Bowers, Ashton Genty, and Fernando Mendoza. So we have our offensive players. I really want us to still get a wide receiver 1, but maybe we address that need next year. But I like all the stuff that we did so far. I like my favorite pick would be Mike Washington. Him and Ashton Genty is going to do that two-back running back system like the Seattle did with Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker. I like that. And I think they're going to rely heavily on that play-action game as well. So I think the Raiders did what they were supposed to do. Also like Jermon McCoy, getting him in the 4th round.
Before we move to your next team, do you feel like y'all did enough with the O-line? Y'all only picked up 1 in the draft. I may not be too familiar with the moves y'all made for the line during the offseason.
I actually think we did because we got the Ravens center, Tyler Linderbaum, one of the best centers in the league. We paid him a free agency, so we have him at center. Our old center was Jackson Power Johnson, and they're going to move him to guard. And then we drafted a guard in the 3rd round. So I believe that having those interior linemen, we have Colton Miller on the left tackle. Not really sold on our right tackle though. Really, supposed to be DJ Glaze, but
that would be the only gripe for me looking at the amount of talent they picked up. It's just not going line heavy. I feel like that was probably the biggest need on offense. Y'all picked up some really really good skill positions on offense in the past couple years in the draft, and I think they could have tried to bulk up just a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like if we could but Linderbaum is going to be a nice addition to our team, especially he's great at run blocking with the wide zone scheme. So I think he's going to be a nice addition. And Powers Johnson is okay, and we'll see how the guard we drafted from Texas A&M does as well. But so far, I like our draft, and then like I said, getting a top 12 pick in the 4th round. Long as his knee is healthy, I think that was a great pickup for us.
I agree. The next team we both agree on. Tell me a couple of the picks from the Jets that you're high on and why they're one of the winners of the draft.
Well, I did a mock draft. I posted it the day before the draft, and I had the Jets getting David Bailey. I only got 3 picks right out of 32, so got to do better next year. But I like David Bailey. I think he's the most pro-ready pass rusher right now. And I think they made the right decision by getting him versus Arvell Reese because we don't know what Arvell Reese is going to even play at for the Giants or what his true position is, whether he's going to be a linebacker or an edge rusher. So getting David Bailey, I feel like the Jets is trying to follow the Lions playbook. You know, Aaron Glenn came over for the Lions. They drafted Aiden Hutchinson with their 2nd pick or pass rusher, one of the best pass rushers in the league. You get David Bailey with the 2nd pick. You got a veteran quarterback. I'm not sold on Geno Smith, but maybe they logic he might be Jared Goff, I guess. I like that having the weapons around the Jets. You got Garrett Wilson. They drafted Omar Cooper in the first round, and Ken Sadiq, a freakish tight end. You still got Breece Hall. So I like, and then you got to think they drafted 2 tackles in the first round picks last year and the year before, Membu and Fashanu. So I like the Jets draft as well. Oh, and still of mine too, D'Angelo Pods.
I was just about to say that.
If he was 6 feet, maybe he could put some bricks in his shoes and be taller. But if he was 6 feet, he would have been a first round corner. So I like
think
that pick.
We seen it work a little bit with Upton Stout last year. We had a bad defense over in San Francisco because of injury, but there were moments during the year where he played and he was really, really effective. He was an undersized guy. He was loved in terms of his measurables and like what he did. But you know, when you're tiny, it's kind of hard to take that risk on him. So he fell in that draft, but he showed up well for us. So I actually think D'Angelo Ponds is a good route for this team to play real ball and to look good. Your last team is the Saints, man. Talk to me. People may not be paying attention. Talk to me about what the Saints are cooking.
Well, I just want to say, prior to our show, we had a nice little debate about like draft grades and stuff, and a lot of, I gave a lot of flack to the Saints about drafting Tyler Shuck, and
we both did.
Yeah, and he had a good rookie season. He was top 3 in offensive rookie of the year consideration. I think they're trying to do everything in their power to give him the weapons that he have. Yeah. You got Chris Olave. They drafted Jordan Tyson. Like, everybody was talking about Jordan Tyson in the draft. Everybody swore that they were going to get him. He got to get landed with the Saints at number 8. Then they got Oscar Delp. I think it's going to be a nice steal for them. Yeah. A tight end from Georgia. He used to back up Brock Bowers. I believe that and they also, free agency-wide,
I was going to say they picked up Trey Lance, little brother on
the
offensive side.
Nice vertical threat, very fast. But they got Travis Etienne in the free agency, so I think they're trying to get all the weapons for Tyler Shuck. And Jordan Tyson and Chris Olave might be a nice duo for years to come if they both stay healthy. Health is a big concern for Jordan Tyson as well as Olave.
I agree. I think they got a good system over there in New Orleans. I think they ended the year on a high, and I think what you have to do is then infuse like a level of like just culture. What's the standard? You know what I'm saying? What's the athletic standard we're looking for? And so this offense, I think, is going to be fast. It's going to be like a spread them and go in terms of like a quick West Coast style offense. And they picked up some pieces to be able to do that.
And you got to think Kellen Moore, he's offensive coordinator for the Eagles. He had Saquon, had A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. They built their offensive line. The Saints used their 2 first-round picks the last 2 years before Jordan Tyson for linemen. So I think they're trying to protect their young quarterback. And also, not to be forgotten, is the division they're in. That division is the worst division in the whole NFL. So you could win the division with 9 wins or 8 wins. Yeah. And if you believe you got a rookie quarterback, you're on that rookie contract, you're going to give him as much help as you could need. So I can see the Saints being a nice, sneaky team, a team that nobody probably don't want to play with all that weaponry that they have at their disposal. So I like their picks for sure.
No, that's dope. That's dope. A couple teams I want to touch on. One that we agreed on in our earlier conversation is the Browns. Mm-hmm. I think the beautiful thing about last year was we saw some teams really, really capitalize with the rookies and how they played. Not only at the linebacker position, but they relied on rookies all over the field, whether they're receiving the rock, throwing the rock, or defending it. And they're doing the same thing this year. To me, picking Casey Concepcion, picking Denzel Boston, and picking McNeil Warren, from Toledo back to back is just ensuring that you're trying to invest in young guys and get some dope physicality, strength, speed into your roster, and those guys are going to play. I do think this might be the biggest kind of jump for your boy Shador. This will be the prove-it year if he is to start. But I think they did the best thing they could at putting pieces around him, guys who could really go ball. The only question I have is why they drafted so many tight ends, knowing they had Harold Fannin. And it may be a little bit slim behind him, but that guy's going to get the bulk of the target share. He's going to get a bulk of the plays and the snaps. But I do think they probably had the angle of getting some blocking tight ends.
Well, I was going to say they drafted the tight end from Cincinnati in the 5th round, I believe. I think that's probably going to be their replacement because David Njoku is not on their team anymore. Yeah. He's a free agent. Also, as well, I like that what Cleveland is trying to do, like they let their defense down. Myles Garrett had a historic season, broke the sack record, defensive player of the year. He got all those sacks and they weren't even leading. And usually you get a lot of the sacks when you gotta, you going against people that's passing the ball, they're not running it. So I think if you could help that defense out, their defense is ready. Their defense is one of the best defenses in the league. But you got to help them out with getting the offensive players. And, the Browns got Baltimore Ravens old OC and Todd Monken as their head coach. And, getting Shador or if it's Deshaun Watson, two big-body receivers, and Casey Concepcion. Well, he's not really a big-body receiver, but he's a good receiver. But Denzel Boston.
Kind of a gadget guy. Yeah,
Denzel Boston, 6'4", 20 touchdowns in the last 2 seasons of Washington's combined. I think then you got to think their draft class last year was great. We were just looking at it. They had a hit after hit except for Dylan Gabriel, and we don't even got to talk about that guy. But I like what they're doing. And if Shador, Deshaun Watson just play manageable football, that could be a team that could sneak in the playoffs for sure. Because it's always a team that is trash one year and then they make a jump and go to the playoffs.
I'm not putting Deshaun Watson on a football field. I don't know why.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying Shador didn't do enough to just solidify, like he stamped the starting quarterback, but he got a chance to prove himself during training camp and preseason is all I'm saying. That's all I mean by that.
Yeah, and I think Deshaun Watson is a very expensive bench ticket.
Yeah, exactly. That's the only reason why
you're paying a lot of money.
That's the only reason why I'm saying that. But I like the way Cleveland is. They just in the hard division going against the Ravens, the Bengals, and the Steelers. So I like their draft as well, though. I'm with you.
Yeah, no. I love the young energy in the Browns. I think they have to invest in it.
Yeah, for sure.
Sometimes you get a little bit trigger happy with making decisions around a young roster because you believe whatever you believe. But they're not gonna win a championship now. No matter you could bring a great quarterback. They have some holes that they need to continue to fill, and I think as they develop as young players, they'll develop into a team that will be contending for playoffs and contending for Super Bowls, hopefully. But that has to happen together. They have to continue to develop and grow together.
Right.
And that's something that we saw happen last year is you have rookies calling the shots on defense and offense.
Like Schlesinger.
Yeah, it would be hard to then make different decisions around vets like Deshaun Watson and kind of waste. Then you're kind of wasting time.
Right.
You might as well go all in with Shador, build, go through the rough patches and get through it. With a young roster, and you're not paying these guys a whole bunch of money. That's kind of the
especially fifth round. Shador 5th round pick, so you definitely not paying no money,
right?
For sure.
Right. Next team is the Cowboys. Now I am an avid Cowboys hater, but
it hurt him for him to do this right now.
I do have to acknowledge one. The year that they had last year, where you see a resurgence from not only the running back position, not only getting an absolute crazy year out of their wide receiver 2, which looked like their wide receiver 1.
Yep.
And then just not being able to guard a parked car at any point throughout the season. I think they're really clear offensively on who they are.
Yeah.
And giving Dak these weapons, he's going to know what to do with them. But, man, you have to keep investing. And so they made the move for Quentin Williams last year, which I thought was brilliant.
Yeah.
This year in the draft, it's literally just about shoring up that secondary and shoring up that defensive line in your linebacker unit. You need bodies everywhere, and they did that.
They got Joe linebacker from the Niners.
I mean, I know, and that happened on draft day, which I was a little bit surprised to see.
Yeah.
But our guy D Winters is now a Cowboy, which will help them out a lot. They picked up Caleb Downs, which I didn't think he would be available at 11, which is a really good pickup. Malachi Lawrence off the edge, Jyshawn Barham off the edge, and they pick up a DT late in the draft. They just wanted to kind of reinforce this spirit of the D-line that they built at the end of last season. I think they had a stretch of games last year where you saw some potential for the guys that they're paying a lot of money to produce. You need some insurance blankets. You know what I'm saying? You need some folks. If guys go down, you need to be able to have young folks to lean on because that defense is bad.
Yeah.
Now, for me, I like watching a bad Dallas Cowboys defense. It's helpful. But I think in their draft, I think they addressed a really, really big need and something that's been a gaping hole for a long time for them.
Yeah, I like what they did as well. There's a lot of winners that I could have picked, but we had, I wanted to narrow it down just to 3. But I like that 5 out of 7 of their picks was defensive players. That's what they need. You got a great receiving duo. If it's not, number 1 is a top 3 receiving duo in Pickens and CeeDee Lamb.
I don't know. Wait, who's better? Like at the present moment.
I don't know. It might be number
Don't
one.
say the idiot. Don't say the dummy.
No, I was about to say Jamar Chase and T.
Oh, I thought you was gonna say the brothers in L.A. Puka Nacua.
Oh no! I was gonna say right. Well, I can't even really say because AJ Brown about to get up out of there. We'll talk about that later. But I was gonna say it's AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, T Higgins, Chase, and then those two. But they could be number one right now if you want because George Pickens went crazy. I don't know if he's gonna stay on the team because they franchise tagged him, and that's the same agent that Michael Parsons had, and he didn't want to play on that.
Yeah, they may not
franchise
see
tag.
him again.
Yeah, so. But I like what they did with defensive players. They needed it. They was trying to act like Cincinnati in the NFC conference with just having all offense and no defense.
Yeah.
So Caleb Downs is another steal to me because a lot of people had him going top 5. People were saying he's the best defensive player in the draft, and be able to have somebody that could be a quarterback on that defense. Yeah. And, that's real special. And, the NFL, I don't know why undervalue safeties because as you see, one of the best safeties, if not the best safeties, Kyle Hamilton, he dropped all the way to number 14, and he's like one of the best defensive players in the league. And if you have a good safety, that could help you a lot with maneuvering, putting him in the box, having them all the way in the back, or being a free safety.
Yeah, your goal is to
or even in the slot.
Eliminate the mismatch.
Yeah,
and
for
if
sure.
You have a guy who's big enough, athletic enough.
Yeah.
Like fundamentally sound enough to stay in front of the run, to stay in front of a tight end, to guard a slot, to step outside, to be the high safety, to be in the box.
Right.
The goal is you eliminate like the gaps on your defense. It's
For
hard.
sure.
You don't come by it a lot, and you rely on that person all the time.
Yeah.
And when they have one weakness, it's very glaring.
Very glaring.
Think of a Jamal Adams. Think of a, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Once you start to, this is what you do, I'm about to throw this by you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not, for a quarterback, that's not going to be difficult to stop. So
for sure.
They're a dime a dozen. I think Dallas gets their Swiss Army knife and a bunch of big help on the D-line. A topic I'm not too happy to talk about. I do have to concede a little bit. Man, the losers of the draft, who and I think we could stay in the NFC West because there was a lot of mistakes made on that day.
A lot.
Who are the losers of the draft? What might have been the head scratchers? What might have been the decisions where you're like, I don't understand, and walk us through why.
So you want me to talk about your team or you want me to talk about my other team?
Both.
Okay, I'm gonna actually start with the Rams first because I want to get to our other conversation that we talked about earlier. I'm gonna go with the Rams. I think everybody is consistent to know that they're the losers of the draft, and here's my opinion on it. The Rams drafted Ty Simpson with the 13th pick, was the head scratcher of the first round for sure. I just feel like the Rams they traded their 29th pick to get Trent McDuffie, a great cornerback. It was a big need for them. Cool. So now you got the 13th pick. That's a premium pick. That's a top 15 pick. Is a lot of these players, and essentially you really had the 12th pick because everybody in their mama knew that Fernando Mendoza was going number 1. So basically you had the 12th pick. You were supposed to get an impact player that could help you win right now. Ty Simpson is not going to be able to help you win right now. He might not be able to help you win the year after. They're talking about giving Matthew Stafford a contract extension. So I feel like when you had Mekhi Lemon and Ken Sadiq there, that should have been the move. You address your cornerback needs. You got Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson in free agency. You were supposed to get Matthew Stafford another weapon.
Yeah.
Devontae Adams is 34 years old, coming off a hamstring injury. Those injuries are tricky, especially a hamstring. He's one bad mess-up route away from being hurt. You need somebody that Matthew Stafford can rely on because when Devontae got hurt, their offense went down. And
definitely.
So having another player like a Mekhi Lemon that was there or Ken Sadiq, that could help you. So I just feel like they dropped the ball, and you could tell by Sean McVay's reaction that wasn't his call.
His pick.
I know McVay probably wanted Mekhi Lemon or Sadiq. So I just think they dropped the ball. You see what happened to you guys against the Seahawks. I know it wasn't just the offense, but y'all already addressed the defense. Y'all should have got another weapon from Matthew Stafford. And I know Matthew Stafford is going to be ticked off that they drafted Ty Simpson. Even if they called him and told him, oh, we're going to pick him, like, I'm still going to be ticked off. I just won the damn MVP and y'all drafting a quarterback. That should have never happened. So I know my brothers, my boy Playboy and Dwayne, y'all Rams fans, so I know y'all agree with me on that, but I just don't like that pick. I'm sorry.
I agree. I don't think. I think there's justification for every other position on the football field,
Right.
for them to have taken, or just any other quarterback available. And I don't mean any other quarterback, but I also mean like this is not. If I'm looking at Ty Simpson film, I'm not saying this is somebody I'm grabbing in the first 15, like the first 15 picks of the whole draft. We're gonna grab Ty Simpson. I think your boy was furious. Sean McVay was a little hot. But I do think for them, they were able to get OT. They were able to get DT. They're in a luxury position where they don't need a lot. And we could still look at the Rams and say they're going to win this division.
I can't even say that, though.
Yeah. I hear you. But I'm also saying, in terms of the competition in the NFC West, they are in that competition.
Oh, yeah,
and
for sure.
They definitely have a puncher's chance.
But I'm just saying, bro, don't you think, like, you always tell me, like, they was a game away from going to the Super Bowl. They honestly gave Seattle they biggest fight in that whole playoffs.
You could have made a lot of different decisions.
You know what I mean?
I don't think they needed a tight end. You said Kenyon Sadiq
but they
for
drafted,
sure.
But they
have 3 tight ends.
But they drafted a tight end in the second round. So what do you mean? They drafted Max Clear out of Ohio State. They drafted him in the second round. So if y'all feel like y'all didn't need one, but y'all drafted one in the second round, and y'all just drafted the one last year in Jacob Ferguson in the second round. So all I'm saying was they really didn't have a glaring need, because they need was defensive help, and they got two defensive cornerbacks. Trent McDuffie is like a top 10 cornerback. Jalen Watson is a serviceable cornerback. So now you could look back. Y'all not even supposed to have this pick. The Falcons, that should be the Falcons picking. So you need to capitalize on that. Ty Simpson is not going to be able to help y'all out for years.
No. We're saying the same thing.
Yeah, so it's just
saying the same thing.
So now if y'all play in the playoffs and y'all lose, and they'll be like, y'all lose because of y'all defense. Damn, we could have got a defensive disruptor. Ruben Bain was right there.
We could have threw somebody in the room. Yeah. Somebody in the room could have been helpful.
Sadiq in a Sean McVay offense with a mismatch like that, they would have been, man. So, I mean, I get it, bro, but I didn't like that move. That was a real head-scratcher for me.
No, I agree. And the point about not needing the help definitely probably contributes to making the decision. Like, there's only one way you pick that, and that's if you think you don't need shit from this draft.
I get that.
That's it on the Rams. I think that was pretty clear. You see that pick come across, and you're like, yeah, they're tripping. But also about, like, the Tyler Shaw joint, we could be wrong. He could touch the field at some point, and we'd be like, damn,
but do you think
we might have been tripping.
Okay, I got a question. Do you think he would contribute to them
any type next of year? No.
So that's what
absolutely not.
Their Super Bowl window is right now, though.
No,
that's
I
all
agree.
I'm saying. Like, once Matthew Stafford retired, or
they should have picked up one of these wide receivers.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Once he's out the building, they Super Bowl window is closed.
Especially with what Puka doing. You like, brother, you might be
one racist tweet away from being out the lead, brother.
One bender away from being behind.
Sure.
Okay, we're not going to take it that far, brother. We wish you well.
Nah, for sure. But we just keeping it real. We always keep it real out here. That he one bad thing away from. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree.
But I hear you, bro.
Speaking of wide receiver and questionable decisions, we'll move over to the Niners. And we're getting killed, deservedly so. I think I sit in the position of I don't feel like we're a loser of the draft. I do think we made a loser decision in terms of the choice that we made when we made it.
Mm-hmm.
Give us your thoughts, brother.
My other loser is the Niners. It's a good pick they made, though. We'll talk about later. They made a good pick for sure, but. The reason why I've been giving my brother a hard time with is the pick they made in the second round, the wide receiver out of Ole Miss. I just feel like where he was slated at, you guys could have got him
later.
Way later. It was more receivers that had better than him that y'all could have got. But I get that he might fit y'all system and what y'all need. But I just feel like, I give my boy a lot of flack, but I watch the Niners games. My mom diehard Niner fans. A couple of my friends is diehard Niner fans. So, I always, troll them or whatever. But when watching y'all, the games that y'all usually lose, that's important. Like, y'all need, like, a real number one receiver or somebody that you could, hey, I'm going to throw you the ball. I'm going to throw this comeback to you. I know you're going to catch the ball. It's just like, Ricky Pearsall being hurt, Mike Evans, y'all got Mike Evans, but, y'all depending on him to stay healthy, and he already limped into the season last year hurt. So I just feel like y'all just needed to capitalize on that, be a number one receiver for y'all in the future. Yeah. George Kittle is getting older, coming off a torn Achilles. Christian McCaffrey had, like, over 400 touches. So I'm just saying, though. But it wasn't even just that pick. I don't really like the running back that you guys got. No, I just said about Christian McCaffrey, but I just feel like that 3rd round pick is very valuable, and I feel like y'all had some more needs than that y'all could have used, and especially if Christian McCaffrey stay healthy, fingers crossed, he's not gonna really see the field because McCaffrey ass don't like coming off the field at all. So I just think y'all
be calling every type of play for McCaffrey.
He don't like coming off the field for whatever reason. So. Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that point. You do lift up something interesting. I think what we've been doing in the past ain't going to work going forward because we're not going to have the same personnel.
Right.
In the past, yes, we've been able to throw it down to George Kittle. We've been able to give Christian McCaffrey the rock hella time.
Yeah,
Shit,
for sure.
We had Debo. We could do end around.
You know what
Wildcat.
I'm saying?
And with that lessen the need, we didn't have as big a need for a wide receiver 1. To your point now, which I agree with, we're not going to be able to do the same thing. We're going to need somebody who can have 12 targets a game for 144. You know what I'm saying? So I agree there. I think being able to get that guy later, trading down, getting more picks.
Yeah.
I think we could have gave up 33 for like a 61 and a 95. You know what I'm saying? Took him at 61 and took somebody else at 95. So I agree wholeheartedly. I think if we capitalize a little bit differently on like the players that are available, then we're not sitting here having this conversation.
Yeah.
All good. At this moment, just going to pivot to songs of the day. That was an absolutely crazy draft week.
Who your still of the draft, though?
Oh, you're right. I did skip. My steal of the draft is Ephesians Price Sock. So he was, to me, the best pick that we had all week. He fell way too far in this draft. His measurables are crazy.
Yeah,
Bruh's super athletic, and we need a dog on defense in the secondary. Who's your steal of the draft?
Another corner. We doing the cornerback theme. I like Jermiah McCoy. We were supposed to. That was like I was saying earlier. He was slated to be a top 10 to 12ish pick. He had knee concerns. He had a tore his ACL not too long ago. But getting him in the 4th round, if he stays healthy, we have a number 1 corner right there for that defense. We spent over $100 million in free agency on defensive players, so we got to keep building that defense. So I like that pick for sure.
Last thing. I can't go without talking about Lamar. One of our favorite players who's not on our home team. So I think this is where we agree all the time. Man, what did he walk away from this draft with?
That would have been another team that I would have picked as winners. I like that they drafted Vega Ione, Penn State guard. I think he's one of the best linemen in the draft, especially interior lineman. And then getting 2 big body receivers in Jacoby Lane and a wide receiver from Indiana. I think Lamar is missing that. A lot of his receivers are 5'9" or lower. You know, Zay Flowers, he had Hollywood Brown. So getting some big body receivers that can help him in the red zone. You know, this guy just threw 41 touchdowns not too long ago, so that could really help him in the red zone game as well. So I like that they pickups. You know, they got a new coach, Jesse Minter, defensive coordinator for the Chargers. So they got a lot to prove, though, because it's Super Bowl or bust for them.
It is. Baltimore's the people's team, even if they're not our hometown teams. Looking forward to him throwing to somebody who's not Rashad Bateman or Hollywood Brown.
Yeah.
Man, that's a wrap for draft week. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Before we close, what's your song of the day, brother?
Ja Rule, wonderful. Shout out my little nephew, Junior, man. That's our song, man. Shout out my nephew.
Yes, sir. My song of the day is Keep It Pushing by Pussy Apex. Shout out the gang. And that's it for episode 2 of the Stand On It podcast. Tay, tell them where to find us.
Hey, like, comment, share. We in a year doing the podcast, man. I appreciate Cam, Angel, Pops for, giving us the space to do this podcast. Everybody that helped us, everybody that's been contributing to this podcast. We appreciate y'all, man. And we got more to come. We're going to be more consistent, and I'm looking forward to the playoffs and everything.
Find us on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Standonitpod, everywhere. Peace.
You pick the side, I just hope you gon' stand on it.